Okay, YouTube land, what's good? This is your host from the Gulf Coast doing the most.
Doing the most.
Donte.
And Shellie.
We are the yin and yang of Short-Term Rentals podcast. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Booyaka, booyaka, booyaka. Animal noises.
Darn fools.
And cut.
Conversions. All right. What are conversions? Can you explain to the audience what conversions mean? Because this is a term that is common in the business world. The people who aren't in that space. I remember the first time I heard it, I was kind of like, I was running ads and I was like, conversions? What exactly do you mean? So what, in your own words, what would you describe a conversion as?
It's a card where the top comes down. No,
He thought she got a conversion. You see Shellie, new conversion?
instead of kicking a field goal, they run it in.
That's what someone around here would say, conversion, like a 2-point?
Yeah, right. So Airbnb has done some things that they have revised to kind of give you more of a business analysis of your place. I will say
Analytics.
Right. And I would say prior to that, you'd do a lot of legwork or subscribe to like AirDNA or Price Labs or something like that to kind of get that information, or a whole lot of legwork on your own. So I got to give them props for doing that. And so there's under the hosting side of the menu, there's a button that says Insights. So this is probably my favorite of all of their new changes, to be honest.
Okay.
Under Insights, it gives you information about the performance of your listing, specifically yours. And it talks about in the last 7 days. So let me click on that one. How many nights were booked? What was that value in terms of dollars? What were the ratings that you got in the last week? What were the overall ratings, any specific issues, your occupancy rates, and the C word conversions. It also gives you that same information for the last 30 days, which I think is really probably the most helpful. And then the second most helpful is that same information for the last year, the last 365 days.
Okay. So when you say conversions, what in the Airbnb space, what would that be?
So in terms of your performance, when you go all the way down to the bottom, the last one is your conversions. And so that is really for any type of advertising, kind of like you said. The purpose of advertising generally is to close the deal, right? ABC, always be closing.
Yeah.
Right? So you want to close the deal. So I can spend hundreds to thousands of dollars on social media marketing. I can, spend a whole lot of time running around, doing lots of things to get people to know about my property.
Right. Billboards, signs,
absolutely,
commercials,
but
all the ways.
If that does not convert to a actual sale,
Right.
a actual booking, then
it's like it's pretty much taking eyers to buyers. Like how many eyers in relation to buyers, because you want that to be as close as a number as possible.
absolutely. That lets you know if what you're doing is effective or not.
I'm sorry using eyers instead of like lookers or viewers. I'm gonna say eyers because eyers and buyers kind of flows. I feel like I just made a new phrase.
Thank you, my brother Van.
Eyers the buyers. You heard it here first.
So, but I do like that. So one of the things, so under the conversion button, there are 4 things, right? Because again, we want Airbnb to get people to see your space, but more importantly, book it. So in my 365 view, and I just went over a year, right? So the average booking lead time is 25.6 days. So what that tells me is in the last year, when people who actually book, they start looking about a month out.
Okay.
3 to 4,
Right.
3 to 4 weeks out
That makes sense.
before they pull the trigger. So when you look at things like, early booking discounts, if you want people to book earlier, that might be something you might want to do, because right now I'm not getting people who are projecting out super far in advance. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
And if you want to
I'm
kind of
not getting
encourage
a
that.
lot of last minutes, right? And I think also understanding what my property is, who the target is, I think that speaks to kind of why that is. Because you're not just traveling by yourself, you got a group or a family, and generally those people plan.
For sure.
So do I necessarily want to do anything different personally? No.
Yeah.
But I do understand that, kind of like when we were talking about okay, I want to take a month off, so I'm looking at June. If using this information, I said I want to take a month off, but I want to start, really hammering down in September, then I know I got to get my marketing out there late July.
Right.
Early August, because
It takes a month for people to decide to do the book.
Well, they're booking.
Or a month in advance.
They're booking about 25.6 days out. So if I wanted these people who I've been getting, if I wait till 2 weeks out, they already found something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole benefit of analytics. We live in a very analytic age where you can really start to know who your consumer, your customer is a little bit more intimately by just seeing their patterns.
Absolutely.
Because we're all creatures of pattern, creatures of habits. Human beings can think they're very unique, and they do have some unique variations to themselves, but when you get down to the roots, we all behave in like a herd-like thing. Like, that's just how we are. A lot of organisms are. So when you say, all my customers typically are around here, then if you structure your business around that, then it's going to benefit most of the people who are your customers, because they all kind of do the same thing. So I definitely, I'm glad that you're, using your analytics in this way. I think that's very wise as a business owner. I think, people do in sports all the time, use analytics to understand their opponents, understand where they need to improve at. It's the same thing. So anyone who's kind of scared of like numbers and analytics and all of that, they kind of make it bigger than what it is. It's literally the same as like you would for all my guys who did sports. It's the same thing. You say, this dude likes to shoot over here, so this is where we're going to focus on giving the ball, or if we're on defense, this is where we're going to take it away. Because, it's just all it is. So
Absolutely. And so my favorite part in this conversion box is actually, and we didn't have this before on Airbnb, wish list additions. So it shows you how many people have added you to their wish list.
Oh, yeah.
That to me was very telling.
You probably got a lot of people who do. Or
I have a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Um,
I would love to be in the Queen's quarters. What is it called?
Seriously, I have a whole bunch on the wish list. So in the last year, I was added to 201 wish lists. And remember, this is my first year.
Yeah.
Right?
I just thought of, and this is a little bit a little ADD kind of moment, so apologies. But I was just like, you know what? To really take yours over the top, you should really do the outside of the property a specific way.
We are because that is.
It really would probably have a big effect on the wish list growing and probably the bookings, because I know that the feeling they get on the inside, you don't really get it from the outside.
No, you don't.
But if you could connect the two, just the amount of people who are going to be like looking at the picture, it's going to I think it's going to 5x it. They're going to go.
I think you're 100% right, but I think we got a couple of things. One, I love the fact that it's kind of a like, oh my God, like definitely the outside seems very ordinary, so it's definitely like a significant shock. Even though people have seen the pictures, what I've heard time and time again is it's not the same when you walk in the space. It looks like the pictures, but you can't grasp the size from the photos. Yeah. Right? So that's what I've heard repeatedly. The other thing is, here we go with the HOAs.
Oh, I was going to say, that's where my head was at.
You know what I'm saying? So everything has to be
approved,
submitted, approved,
reviewed, and approved.
Right. And again, they want...
You better be good. You better be do some politics.
The thing is, I do understand.
You can't be beefing with the HOA lady at both spots. You might need a representative, man. You might need to send someone else down there and speak on behalf of Navarre Glam Getaway.
What the thing is, I do understand from my real estate brains. Right. That again, it is planned for all of these homes to have a similar look within a subdivision.
Right. That is one of the. It's the pros and cons.
It's the pros and cons.
So people love neighborhoods like that and they look good. But yeah, you're going to not have the flexibility of other people because they want to regulate it so it can maintain a certain appeal so that it gets to certain types of people at once.
Right. So that is one thing. However, the backyard is fenced. And so I've got a lot more flexibility there. So that is one of the things that I've been looking at. And it's funny, the reason, I'm gonna tell you what made me do it. Again, most of my pics are interior. I have a couple of exteriors, but again, to me, the exterior's just typical house, nothing to jump and shout about, right? Not because of me, but because of the locks they putting on me, the restrictions they got, right?
Locked up.
So that I had a guest who booked. So she had already booked for spring break, but she sent me a message saying, can you send me some pics of the backyard? And I was like, it was like 8:30 at night. I just giving, folks, hey, get in the bed and, da-da-da. So I wasn't finna go back out. And again, the pics aren't going to be good this late anyway, right? Sure. So I sent her a message and said, the first thing I thought was, well, there is one. Right?
This ain't enough.
There is one. What you talking about, Willis? But so I was like, well, it's late here, but I'll roll through, tomorrow and take some pics for you.
Did you get them in the sunset?
Okay. Anyway, that ain't happening.
You should have got it in the sunset.
So
they love the sunset.
So I'm telling you, I immediately reached out to my social media girl because she took the pic that we do have, and I was like, look, dude, I am mad nervous because I don't think there's anything to jump and shout about at my backyard.
Right.
It's not horrible, but it's not anything. It doesn't, as you said, it doesn't match the interior. And so I was like, I'm nervous about it.
Yeah.
And she was like, very encouraging. I don't feel like there's anything, but I know me. First of all, I'm not really an outside girl. That's number one. And then number two, the house is a reflection of me.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. No,
So
that makes sense. It makes sense.
So I don't see that the outside matches the inside. She sees it through a different lens.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I don't think you've got grass back there. You got like, what?
So you got the essentials. What else do you think you need?
Right. So we kind of went back and forth, blah, blah. And so long story short, everything worked out fine. They came, 5-star review, loved everything, bop, 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 they left. But it gave me a different perspective that I just kind of felt like the people who were staying in my house, they're going to spend all their time at the beach.
Right.
I don't care about this backyard. I'm going to be going to that beach that's 4 miles away. And
that is true. What I'll say, because I think I know the demographic of people that are going to book at your place. Mm-hmm. Because I know the lifestyle. Like I grew up in this area and I saw these families, how they moved from sun up to sundown, and you go over these people's houses, the kids are over here, and I saw what the parents did when the kids were doing whatever. Some kids are inside, some kids are whatever. The parents, there's some people who are insiders, but there's a decent amount of people who want to be outside when they're doing their talking at the end of their day. And the lounge outside in the weather when it's cool or not so hot, because people come here to be outside, a lot of them, and when they go, man, it's so hot today, them being outside when it's cooler and they have their drink or they have their seats and eat and talk to the family about whatever, that is really, it's almost it's the hang where it's like they might not have that opportunity wherever they're at in that kind of weather with the culture. So I think having the outside hang, because when I came up here, we definitely were like, you want to hang inside or outside? We were like, hanging outside was like, we were at least in a garage with the door open, or we were in a Florida room, or we were outside on some lawn chairs. Like everyone wanted to be outside, I think the outside hang, it's so relaxing, especially because there's a lot of drinkers out here, so they'll get their drink and just be outside, and then it's like you can see stars. There's just, I don't know, there's a vibe in Florida. I think people go like, we come here to be outside.
Okay, so I think let's have a conversation about that then.
So I definitely think even for a basic backyard, having somewhere for them to sit outside, a group of people to sit, like not just a couple, like, because you talk about even a couple coming down, they're going to probably invite someone over to hang out, maybe someone they met at the wherever, or someone in their family, and they probably want to be outside. I mean, I think a lot of people, when you talk about being health conscious, I think outside is becoming a missed thing because everyone's inside all the time. So them being outside again, it's like, man, I forgot what it feels like to just be outside talking to people. This used to be a thing we did. I used to grow up and see my I think people are valuing it more, and if you invest into it, people are gonna go like, man, after the beach, somebody's gonna be. They can always go inside at some point. They can always go inside, but I definitely think they're gonna love being outside.
So you think that's a missed opportunity as well? And I didn't used to think so, but I do now.
Yeah, but that's because I'd be outside all the time. Like I love being outside. So I think person like my mom, I don't understand why she never really did it to our house growing up, but my mom ain't an outside person like that. So I'm like, no one goes in the backyard ever. Backyard gets neglected, and you're like, what you even got a backyard for? Why you even got a backyard? Why you pay for this space if you ain't gonna use the space? I think that's another thing.
It's funny that you say that, because in my current house, and I don't think you hit. Well, yeah, because I think you helped move, right? So, what is now my husband's man cave was just a screened-in porch.
Right.
And originally, because again, we designed it, right? So originally, I was looking forward to barbecues.
Yeah.
You kind of best of both worlds, right? Like you're kind of outside, but the screen, so no bugs, right? So it's kind of, but no. One of the things I noticed when we moved in and, all that, it was so stinking hot.
Mm-hmm.
And you got about, and you would think I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. You got about 2 good weeks where it was that sweet spot where it wasn't too hot and it wasn't too cold.
Mm-hmm.
You got about 2 good weeks of that in the spring and about 2 good weeks of that in the fall. Beyond that, it was too cold or it was too hot. It just, swelter. And that, bless its little heart, that little ceiling fan wasn't doing a daggum thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, like you said, it got neglected.
Yeah.
The sunroom, pretty much, no one was going back there. So I remember one day, I said, and it was one of those days where it seemed like there was someone in every room. My oldest son was back in there, and it was just like it was someone everywhere. And I just kind of, outside of going in my bedroom, and even my husband was there, like, where can I go for a moment by myself? And I remember seeing that, and I was like, this is too much daggum space, because it was huge.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, this is too much space for us not to be able to enjoy this. So I had kind of toyed around with it before, but that's when I was like, you know what? No. I'm called, get some estimates, turn this into a sunroom. Like, this is easy. 3 sides are taken care of. It's really just one and da da. So I called, got estimates, blah, blah, blah. And I remember saying to someone who saw it afterwards, and they were thinking about possibly doing it, brought their husband and was like, look, da da, see, da da. And I said, I'm not the one to be trying to sell people on stuff, but I will tell you this. Of everything I've done in this house after we moved in, this was the purchase I had absolutely no heartburn about. I wanted to change paint colors. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. Da, da, da. This one, no buyer's remorse. Money well spent.
Yeah.
Would do it again. Gladly write the check every month. Like this one was the single best next investment. And even when I kind of was kicking myself, after it was done, because I loved it so much, it was like, why didn't we just do this before? We'd have had this financed in for the 2% interest rates we got back then when everything was low.
Yeah.
But I thought about it. My builder would have charged me way more at that time. I just know that because I know how they priced it.
Okay.
And
interesting.
So, because it wouldn't have looked like it looks now. It would have been a part of the interior space.
Right.
From the gate, which would have made it more expensive. And so I know how much they charge per square foot. I mean, now God only knows what they're charging, but back then it was like, almost $200 a square foot.
Ooh.
And so that's now, these folks, they charge by the square foot too, but it wasn't that much.
Yeah.
And so it definitely would have been more expensive. Now, again, stretching it over, 30 years, not so much, but still, I'm good with what we did. I think it worked out just the way it needed to work out. Mm-hmm. And I really just had no clue that I wasn't going to enjoy that space as much, which is also solidified for me. Why am I investing in it out? It's too hot.
Yeah.
People aren't good. But, I was thinking the same kind of way, the way I'm thinking. But you know what? Like you said, when we were kids, people ran around outside all day long. Please govern yourselves for their church announcements.
Wow.
We'd like for you to hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm, especially for a new channel like us. And Donte's experienced a lot of rejection, so he needs some likes in his life.
Somebody like me, please.
Also, please subscribe. Hit the notification button so you'll know when something new drops. Our giveaways are specific to our subscribers, so please subscribe so you can participate.
And ask us some questions. Leave us some comments.
Don't forget to share, because sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring.
Now back to our regularly scheduled programming.
You could, since you're not really big and you don't have to make your space, you don't have to do too much. Like when I look at what you could do to the backyard, I would say like some small things. So I'll definitely have some more probably furniture for like a group setting.
Yeah.
I think that would be a must.
That's a must.
I would say I don't remember how many plants you have back there, but I might get a couple plants in there. And then I think this is like a little bit of something that has the ability to play music. People like, so when they're, because I think I don't know if neighbors are going to be too like an issue with hearing things. I don't know if that's in the neighborhood right now. Like if people are playing music and hanging out on the weekends. I think some people probably do. And I've never heard of people complaining about, I've never, when I grew up there was never like a lot of music going on to where I was like, man, these people they're turning up. So just having a little bit, I think would be good. But also I think for me, aesthetically, having some lights on top of the fence.
Yep.
I think that's such a small, inexpensive thing to add that really makes the outside hang a little bit more fun and where you want to be. And I think you can have just enough seats. I mean, what the kids do on their phones or their pads, if they're not ones who are going to be running around, they can just be outside and doing it. But what it does is if a family comes, everyone can watch everyone, be around everybody, and the dad could cook, or you can just sit down and talk, and everyone can just talk outside, and they can be like, we never outside together as a family. We can do this just one time. We're going to be outside as a family. And then you don't allow pets, but if they had pets, then it would be like, we all can be around each other and have some room.
Pets
and like,
around.
I think a mom would be like, we're inside all the time in the house. Like we came to be outside. Like, let's just hang outside. We can maybe play some board games or something outside or just talk and, maybe listen to some stuff while we eat. Just a little bit of that hang, just a light hang,
And that's good things. Because I have been kind of trying to get ideas now that I guess actually helped me to realize that is valuable space. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it wasn't valuable to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, having
it wasn't valuable to me. I'm one of those people, like, I know some people like, oh, I would never stay in a townhome because there's not enough yard space. I'm like, oh, that has never been an issue for me, right? So that, I think I personally didn't value that space. Therefore, obviously, I did the basic, like we had a guy come and cut the grass, so it's not a forest or anything. And I do have some ideas for some games and stuff that, will be out there. So working on that. But I just really wasn't. So, and the other thing is I had actually talked to someone. I talked to someone who used to work at the Marriott. And long story short, I was asking for ideas because I was like, without a pool, what should, and so she actually had a really great idea. She was like, the fire pit. And I said, I've heard about the fire pit. Here are my concerns. It's hot. Why would you want a fire pit? And so she was like, oh, it's not about that. It's not about like using it for warmth. It's just an area to hang out. It produces the light. People want to do s'mores, right? And so I actually was sold on it. Like I had one in my cart and everything ready to pull the trigger.
That's on the list too. I didn't think you would be a fire pit person, so I didn't.
I'm not. I'm not.
But a lot of people love it.
110% not.
A lot of people like that.
Yeah, but right before I did, I'm reading all the stuff, right? Because I'm that girl. So I'm reading everything. And it said, oh, it needs to be X number of feet from the nearest structure. Well, one of the problems with my backyard is it's flat to a certain distance and then it slopes.
Right.
And so I was like, ooh, I think
You might not have
I'm not going to have the space. Then if it's like not safe for this fire to be X number of feet to the house,
Right.
then that's not safe. So of course I had to go out there, and lo and behold, it's in the slope. So obviously you ain't gonna do that. So I was like, oh, well, that,
You can't do it because of the slope?
because where it says, I think mine said it's supposed to be 20 feet.
Why
from
can't
the
you build
house.
it on the slope, though?
Because it's sloping down. How you gonna have a fire pit?
I would assume
It's
you...
not a, it's kind of significant slope.
Is it? Well, I feel like you can engineer it, but it might be not worth it. Because to me, people have been building things on slopes for generations.
It's probably not worth it. But
that's
then
only
you
that.
have the other thing. So if it's 20 feet from any structure, that means 20 feet both ways.
Right.
I don't have that much.
And that might be, definitely I could see that. 'Cause
Yeah, I don't have that much.
But even the whole aesthetic of not even having actual fire, it's like if you have this central thing, it could be a table.
Right.
Or it could be just rocks that filled up a fire pit. The whole thing of just having people around something is where people have the...
Kind of gravitate.
Yes, it's like we all supposed to hang here, face each other, and talk. Like,
So what I have ideas for are two different things.
okay.
So one is a fountain. I think the water is very soothing. Hearing it bubble.
That's
relaxing.
very royal.
I think I truly, I used to have fountains all over my house.
You're gonna have some fish in it.
Well, no, not that kind. No, but just like the little bubbly on your nightstand and all of that. I think those things are really relaxing. My husband loves them too.
Yeah, I think that would be a good substitute.
Yeah. So, well, no, I was thinking for the backyard, like I've
In general,
actually
just out
picked
there.
One. Oh, okay. I picked a large one. So I was thinking about that, with some flowers around it, da da da. So that was one thing I thought about, but I don't know that says hang. That I don't know that necessarily says hang. So the other thing was the table. And, of course, the seating and blah, blah, blah. And they make these tabletop fire pits. I don't know if you've seen them. I don't even know if fire pit is, I would say maybe tabletop fire something. And you can take them off and do your s'mores. So they're very small, but
Yeah.
they sit on the table, and some of them look really nice. So I actually have a couple of those in my cart. So again, you get the whole, make your s'mores still. You're sitting at the table, you're yapping. You can have some card game over here. You can have, dominoes, whatever. Or just grubbing, just eating, whatever. So I did think about that as well. And I also thought about kind of getting rid of some of the green space with maybe pavers. So I have some ideas in my head.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's going to be new for me. Investing in that exterior and trying to bring Navarre glam into the outdoor space. Now that is that's where I'm like, because again, I'm not even an outdoor girl, so I don't even fully have a vision yet. So that's the part I'm researching. I'm looking for inspiration on how to bring glamour into that outdoor space. And that's where I'm struggling.
There's a lot of ways you can get some good feedback on it. If I was you, this is not saying you have to do these things, but what I would do if I didn't know something, I would go to a group of people who have probably done things like this before, invest into the backyards, like the Airbnb group we have locally, and be like, hey, I'm looking into making my backyard a hang. This is the theme of my place. What are you guys' ideas? Like really just easy, just putting that out there, because they would probably just give you at least 5 different ideas to kind of start to pick from, and then you can mesh into your own thing. Takes 2 seconds to make a post. They do all the legwork with the planning, and they could probably give you a lot of like additional thing, like where to get things, how much it costs, who to work with to help. And you'd be like, the end of the day, you'd have like, I like this, I like this, I don't like this, I like this. Okay. And I do think that would be a good starting place, because I think you have good elements if you're going to do some lighting and some seating. I think the fountain for your place is probably, I like it. I like it because I think I see people who are more like you coming. And I think if they had to choose between like making s'mores with their kids, or because I don't know if you have a lot of kids coming with yours.
Yeah, I have quite a few.
But and what like ages they are and stuff like that. But I think, I don't know, if it was me, I would try to do both. Like I would probably have like a little quiet place in the back for people to just be like relax. Maybe there's more plants in the fountain in that corner, and then the other corner is more the hang for the social. So that's kind of what I would do, because I would try to have...
That's a great idea.
And just to divvy it up like that. So, but you'd have it at both ends. So if you got some older people who are kind of like, you know, maybe want to read, maybe some people one day they want to read a book outside, they can just do that by the fountain, you know. And then you have people at night who want to like get together and eat and talk. They can have like some picnic table type stuff, some wooden tables.
Acting a fool and you need to be over.
Yeah, like calm down, like go by the fountain.
Yeah, you're in timeout. Go over there and sit down and
they just listen to some water. And probably they don't even know, but it's helping them, and they're like. But yeah, that's kind of like I see some very easy things to do, and then I do like the lights on the fence. I don't know if I would paint the fence. I thought about that. Like
I thought about painting the fence too. I think about it every day.
Yeah. Like if I personally, I think. It's a part of the exterior. Like if you paint a house to try to get a certain vibe, the fence is a part of the house. So you should try to like connect all that. So I think you should, if you have the ability to, like a black fence, a red fence.
I was actually
yellow
thinking
fence,
black.
Whatever. Like, you know, I love black.
But the thing is, again,
the maintenance.
I can only do the interior without having to go through.
But see, that's where I would go. People probably don't even ask. I'd be like, yo, I'm looking to do this. Like, let's make it. What do I got to do? I would negotiate with HOA for sure. They would probably either love me or hate me.
They probably would.
But I'm totally okay, because that is what I'm paying for. And I'm like, a lot of things don't happen in places because people just don't ask the questions. Like my mom did always tell me that growing up, is like, you have not because you ask not. She was like, just ask. Like,
that's so true.
Like,
I mean, that is so true. But I have like such a list of things to ask them.
Well, you definitely don't want to overdo it.
No. Like,
especially if you don't got a relationship with them.
The most important thing is...
Who is the HOA over there?
Oh my gosh, let's not even.
All right. But anyways, I know we're kind of running on this, but I definitely thought like they're both... This is really good because we're both kind of in that space where we're looking to elevate, adding value to the space. You know, we're really doubling and down into our niches. And targeting the areas that kind of like we can add value, where it'd be appreciated the most. So,
but let me get back to the conversions just a little.
Yeah.
Because this to me was the key for me. I'll talk about it in a second. So, when I go to the last 30 days, I have 214 views of the property.
Okay. 200.
112, kind of starts to break things down. But the bottom line is 83 wish list additions. Okay.
That's almost half.
Yeah. So when I take a look at that, knowing that information, that, okay, so these are people who, by nature of what they're clicking, are saying, I wish I could stay here. right? That's why it's called a wish list, right? And then I also marry that with how long they're booking. You know, okay, the lead time is right around a month. So remember when I talked about that for my direct booking site, I wanted to offer other options for payment. Those are the types of things that I took into consideration. Like, is it the price? And I don't necessarily feel like the price is off for what you're getting. And I think that's what the wish list is saying too. But I just may not have all that right now. You know, that just may not be in my budget. But if I have the opportunity of spreading that out or afterpay or whatever, all of those options, some of those options are available with Airbnb. All of those options are not. Then that might change the game. So again, it's about converting the eyes, converting the wish list to actual bookings. And one of the things, I mean, it could be easy to say, oh, lower your prices. I don't think price is the issue. Like I'm booking, Matt, like I was showing you, like I'm booking June, July. I don't think that is the issue, is the price. But one of the things I did realize as I was doing comparisons is it's not even the number of bedrooms, but it is the number of guests that I can accommodate. So I've always pretty much been like, hey, 8, right? 2 per bedroom. I don't want nobody sleeping on my couch, right? So 2 per bedroom, 8's pretty much been the limit. I don't really count the babies with the pack and play at all. So what I did differently after talking to someone who stayed at an Airbnb somewhere else, and they were like, oh yeah, they had this wing plate, but these people were on an air mattress. It was always in my plan to convert the garage and add additional sleeping places there. That was always in my plan. What I had not considered were air mattresses, because personally, I don't really be doing air mattresses. Not because I'm too good for an air mattress. I grew up sleeping on the floor at times, right? Yeah. So going at your cousins, here's a blanket on the floor with a pillow, right? So it's not that I'm too good for an air mattress, but listen, I have medical issues, back stuff, knee stuff. I can't be doing that, right? I need real support.
She wake up all jacked up.
Right. I need real support. And I kind of feel like air mattresses don't necessarily give you that. But I had to think about, everyone's not my age. Everyone hasn't had their body banged up while they were in the military. That's not everyone's story. So when this person was telling me about someone who's older than me, who slept on an air mattress and was cool, I was like, let me do some research on quality air mattresses. Because in my head, there was no such thing.
Yeah. Anyone who's buying air mattresses when we were experiencing them was like trying to save money.
Right.
And they were going for quality.
Right. And so I didn't even think that, to me, was an oxymoron. So I got out there and I'm looking at reviews. I'm looking at, regular people, non-sponsored, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at complaints. I'm looking at And so I narrowed it down to a few. And one of the things that the air mattress provided, this particular brand that, was really well, it had an integrated air pump. I really liked that, because I can't tell you how many times we've packed up an air mattress and it's a year before we need it again. And then we're looking for the air pump and some kid is saying, oh, I needed to use it for something. Where it is. They didn't put it back with the actual air mattress. Yeah. So I can't tell you how many times that has happened to us. So I like that the pump was integrated. I had never seen that. I had never heard of it.
Yeah, step the game up.
Yeah. And this particular one blew up in 2 minutes, completely. plug it up, hit the button, it's going up. So, and they happened to be on sale at the time that I was like, okay, I'm gonna pull the trigger. So I got 2 queen size air mattresses, which took me from being able to sleep 8 to 12 for about $100 because they were on sale. And these were quality. So I got them. They came in. I went, took one over, tested it because again, I got to make sure it's right.
Yeah.
It was very easy to work. I even made a video so people who were staying, if they like, what am I doing? You know, it was so easy. I was like, oh, let me just record this. And I did that. And I immediately switched it from 8 to 12, changed, you know, the description. That's when the bookings just started. Boom, 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 boom. And I was like, so this was less about my price and more about how many people I could accommodate, I think.
Right, because I mean, theoretically, what I'm seeing is like one family is like where it might have been kind of thinking for most people who are buying. But when you get to that kind of many heads and beds, you can get 2 families. So now 2 families are like, we can just go on this together.
Right. And it's not cost prohibitive at this point.
Yeah, so all the kids just boom, boom, boom. We get all the nice rooms. Kids get all the leftovers. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody's happy. And
everybody's happy. And so I wanted to share that in that, you know, I see a lot on Airbnb, and I know you've kind of been like not really paying attention to the space for quite some time.
Nah, it's all about me and what I got going on. Forget everybody else. But yeah, I like the updates. Appreciate it.
I see a lot of like lowering prices, especially in the slow season. And just
it's easy.
Ridiculous. Like, you're gonna give someone a 3-bedroom house for $100 a night? What are you smoking? Right? Like, who does that? The hotel room ain't $100 a night. I mean, what are you thinking? You know, in my head. And so I'm not about to compete with the bottom dwellers. Like, no.
Yeah.
And so it makes it seem like, oh, she's tripping, she's too high. No, I'm just not crazy, right?
Well, it's a easy thinking, a thought process, a mentality, because that is what most people or a lot of people are taught, or they've been taught, was in certain seasons you go here with your price, certain seasons you go here. But you got the people who are really like crushing it. They think out of the box. They say, I think it's not the price like you mentioned. I think people will find a way to get that price if there's a way that it makes sense on their end. So it makes more sense to say, like, we can pay this, but we might not be able to afford it ourselves. But we love traveling with our friends. Like, we don't ever get to hang. Like, a lot of people travel. It's like they see their family all the time. Then sometimes they go like, yo, I hadn't hung with my best friend and his family. Why don't we all do a trip together? Right. That's a big thing with people traveling in the middle class for sure. And then other classes as well. But I know middle class people think like that. Like my boss, people I work with all the time, they're all like, I'm around my family all the time. Like, yeah, I take trips with them, take day trips. But if I want to do like a getaway, it's like I want to make sure I'm around some people that I like as well, and who I miss. And I think, yeah, when I think about planning trips, it's always like adding other people to it. So I think it's good that you thought about that and just went with just making a small investment. And I definitely think that's going to be a big plus. You'll probably, it was a very creative way of fixing the problem, and it wasn't a lazier way. So kudos. It
definitely wasn't lazy. It definitely was less cost prohibitive. I mean, literally, when you buy a bed, you got to buy the bed, you got to buy a quality mattress. You know what I'm saying? You got to buy the linens. You got to have all that. When you do the air mattress, the bed and the mattress are together.
Yeah.
And so all you got to do is buy that and your linens and some more pillows, and you cooking like hot grease. And
there's a common thing with me and you that, I think is going to aid us in being successful in whatever we do, is that you being experienced, me being new, there's a core thing with people who become successful, who can ride out and overcome, or who can even do better when things are going bad. And it's a mentality where you're looking at the problem from different angles. You know, when people talk about the seasonality around here and lowering prices and things being slower, it's like, I immediately was like, well, I think I need to have my space of, a different exit strategy, like the midterm rental thing. Even though it came to me indirectly, I saw the value, and I was like, I don't have to drop my price because my product isn't changing.
Absolutely. So why should your compensation?
And I think people would still value it the same. So I think what I got to do is meet their needs. Like if they're like doing different types of trips in this time period, then I just make it fit that kind of trip. Or if there's certain things economically, then like, yeah, adding more beds. It's like that makes more sense. So, because your space is big enough for two families to be there and hang out for
easily.
So I love that we both targeted the seasonality in ways that are unconventional. We didn't take the easy route. And I think that's going to be evidence of why we're going to be very successful in this space. So
just know that, again, you can do different things with these analytics. It's information, but like you said, your solve for X, sometimes you got more than one solution, right?
Yeah.
So pay attention to it. Conversion is the name of the game. And till next time.
No VVS on my neck, probably cost more than my check. No disrespect, I just ain't flexing for them fools on the net. Question the setting, yeah, but you can't mistake the value. City sleeping on me like they hooked on volume. Catch a wave or float away. Sick of sitting sideline, I made a play. Anxious about opinions, they gon' hate me anyways. Either rise to the occasion or you caving like souffle. Attaché, no Hemingway.